everybody? Kim K back with you this week for episode 53 of the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour here on G-Force TV. Well, we've got two more races in the books at Saskatoon completed, and then we head out to GP3R this weekend. Man, one of my favorite weekends of the entire NASCAR Pinty Series season is at GP3R, probably my favorite track that we go to as a series. And based off of the early looks of how the roster potentially will be this weekend, this could be the biggest field of NASCAR Pinty Series competitors that we have seen in a little bit of time, probably since post-COVID. I think it's been the biggest field that we could potentially look at. We're looking at maybe 30, 31, 32. Most max I could see being 33, 34. That's, of course, if everybody that is rumored to show up does actually end up doing so. So GP3R obviously is one of the biggest and best events that is put on in the entire country of Canada, entire racing world. If you have never been to GP3R in Trois-Rivières, you need to get yourself there. We've done it. I recommend it. Go out there and you'll see how the entire city shuts down for the NASCAR Pinty Series. We are the headliner. These names scrolling underneath my beautiful face, they will be the faces that you will see on track at GP3R. They will be listed as the heroes. It's awesome. You go down Main Street and there's fireworks the night of, and or the night before at least. And the coolest thing is you go out to all the storefronts are open. The entire walkway, the street is turned into a walkway for all the crowds. Go into all the restaurants and the bars, and you've got people, a who's who of racers that are down there for the fireworks, for the food, for the festivities. It is like no other. It is remarkable. You'll see the heroes of Quebec, heroes of Ontario, heroes of the entire country of Canada out there. And we couldn't be more excited to see how this weekend plays in. The championship is very exciting right now. Trayton Lapsevich, man, I don't know if anybody can touch the guy right now. He has definitely been the lights out favorite. Obviously, Marc-Antoine Camirand is still in this competition. He is still close in the battle. But based off of the way things are looking, we could have 25 or more names that also could be battling for a win this weekend. Now, the championship looks to be pretty tightly contested between the two of Lapsevich and Camirand. It doesn't mean that that's going to be the only competitors there. As you see, Kevin Lacroix still within 50 points. Alex Tagliani at 55. Now, after that, it's starting to get a little bit hairy in terms of whether or not these guys would be able to catch up. That's the reality on the situation. Now, an interesting fact is that Trayton Lapsevich at Saskatoon was the first driver ever to sweep both of those races since we went to a doubleheader system at Saskatoon. But not only that, he has now matched some very reputable names within the series, and if he keeps going, could be in line for a guy like DJ Kennington with 6 wins in a season. Alex LeBay, 6 wins in a season. These are guys that won the championship. Now, the championship back then may have been 11, 12 races. Now we've got 14 that he has to get through. And the biggest thing that we have to remember is that GP3R, with lots of entries, we're expecting lots of entries for Ohsweken Speedway for their 2 races, lots for ICAR, lots for CTMP, and lots for Delaware. Meaning you cannot have a bad race. Looks like better weather for sure, and Trayton Lapsevich is going to have some DNFs, some DMFs, or nobody will catch him. As GP3R, not really, Jim. He's not too far out, because if you think about it, if he does have bad races, if you get 25, 30 cars and he's down in 27th place and Marc-Antoine Camirand wins the race, all of a sudden, it's not looking that crazy. We also have to remember guys like Kevin Lacroix. Kevin Lacroix could go out, win GP3R, CTMP, could win ICAR, and could win Delaware. He could rattle off. Marc-Antoine Cameron, same thing. So I don't think the championship could be considered over yet. There's too much variables, considering that Trayton's strengths are not on these street course and road courses. He is good on them, but they're not his forte. His short oval program is definitely up there, which bodes well for him when he goes to Delaware. But Ohsweken is still, I think, a bit of a crapshoot as well. While he was really good last year, won the race, there's no telling how the field is going to be this year, how the track condition is going to be this year. That's going to be the very interesting thing. Allergies, of course, are getting the best of me, always when I'm on camera. So, I brought my man Regan in. We talked about what was happening at Saskatoon, what we can look forward to at GP3R. Lots of interesting things. We made our predictions for GP3R as well. Obviously, we want to thank Matthew Manor, who takes such amazing photos for the NASCAR Pinty series, and of course the social media team, Caitlin Patrick, Liv Whistle, who puts together the graphics. It's actually there's a use right here, right there. The social media graphics. There is some discretionary stuff with Racing Reference, where if you go to race 2 of the results, it doesn't match this. This is what you should be going through, with for your point standings. 40 points for Trayton Lapcevich. That's where we are going to rely on for the point standings. It is updated. However, there is some discrepancy there that I know people were asking about in the group. But as of right now, like I said, I'm looking at potentially, you're looking at 32, 33 names for GP3R, including some names that we have not seen in a while. We'll obviously go through those with Regan. I will give a quick run through on some of those names that we are expecting. I did get confirmation actually within the last half an hour of someone who is actually not going to be there that I'll update here on the list in the page. But we get confirmation Peter Kloot is actually not going to be at GP3R. So take him out of the equation. So Justin Arsenault, JF Dumoulin, Glenn Steyer, JP Bergeron, Alex Skinnett, Brandon Watson, Raphael Lessard, LP Montour, DJ Kennington, Alex Tagliani, Trayton Lapcevich, Thomas Nouveau, Andrew Ranger, Daniel Bois, Alex Lebay, Simon Dionvienne, LP Dumoulin, Herbie Drescher, Dave Corsall making his return in the series, Cherche Bordeaux, Gary Kloot, Wallace Stacey, Kevin Lacroix, Jocelyn Fecteau, Donald Teague, Larry Jackson, Sam Fellows, JF Leberge, Dexter Stacey, Jacques Gannett Sr., Marc-Antoine Cameron, Daryl Timmers, and Matthew Skinnell. Now, some of those names, obviously, these were announcements that were made, so we don't know whether or not they're still going to happen. So the likelihood is if we get 4 or 5 dropouts here, you're still looking at a field of 29 cars. So around GP3R, that is a very dangerous amount of cars around that circuit. We obviously don't want to have a bunch of wrecked race cars, but at a tight circuit like that, that is what can happen. I brought Rigsy in. We'll bring him in right now, and we'll talk with him about a little bit about Saskatoon, but more or less are looking forward to the rest of the season. Talk about some of those names that we'll see at GP3R and who we are picking as our winner, our underdog, and maybe somebody who might have some struggles at GP3R.
There we go.
So we're back here on the Power Hour. We got our man, Regan McCauley. Rigsy's back with us to do our couple race breakdown from Saskatoon. However, I think both of us are really excited for the upcoming race this weekend, which is crazy to think that it's already this weekend, but it is. And we are heading to probably my favorite straight circuit, my favorite race on the Pinty schedule. bar none. It's just, and Riggsy, you got to promise me that one day you'll go, because it is so worth it. We only went 1 year so far. We're hoping to do next year. Maybe we do show the air next year. It's tough. There's a lot of places you want to go, so little time, and we got lots of regular series racing out here in Ontario too. So, but Trayton Lapsevich mopped the field, basically out in Saskatoon. Marc-Antoine Cameron did it in Edmonton. We talked about this. It's almost like they're trading off race weekends, but the main takeaway, I think, is that there's now a 41-point difference between first and second. Following, is it 41 or 40? 40. Taking into account that we still have at least most of the another half of the schedule to go. So there's been some kind of communications of, is this championship over? Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. I'm pulling the microphone seriously to the center here, so I've got something to say here. In this series, we have seen week in and week out that you can have a mechanical problem, you can be involved in a wreck, doesn't affect you too bad. Because at Saskatoon, we had 18 cars. So you finish, 18th? That's not so bad. However, right now, GP3R, Ohsweken, CTMP, ICAR, Delaware, all of those racetracks, we are expecting huge car counts. So for Trayton Lapsevich, he cannot afford a bad race for the rest of the season, because if he were to finish towards the back or last, and say Marc-Antoine Cameron won, which he was very, very, very good at ICAR, he was good at Delaware, he was good at CTMP, he won at CTMP, he was good at Ohsweken. Now there's going to be 2 races there, and of course he was good at GP3R. So at the end of the day, Trayton needs to make sure that he can go through these next couple of races and limit any points loss as possible, because his lowest finish of the season has been 6th on a street circuit in Toronto. Now, we had less cars in Toronto than we're expecting at GP3R. I think the other thing we can consider, I know Toronto is what it is, but I almost feel like GP3R is almost more likely to have a big mess of cars.
Yeah.
Because you go through the arches and there's not a lot of places to go. We saw with Gary Clute and Andrew Ranger that you can have multiple connections. We saw with Glenn Stiers and Wallace Stacy, it doesn't have to be early in the race. It doesn't have to be late in the race to have an issue. And then we could see between brothers, you can come together when things aren't going the right way. We know that there's some guys that aren't in the championship battle here, Regan. JF Dumoulin is not in the championship battle. He is going just for a win.
Well, he definitely acted like it.
He definitely acted like it. And we know Marc-Antoine Cameron wants a championship. That's the only thing that he wants to win, sure, but they're going for the championship. Trayton Lapsevich, for him to win this would be huge. But I also think it's going to be very, very difficult. They're 75% of the scheduled racers that we're expecting are from Quebec. So, I mean, DJ's done it before, but it is not easy to do.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's self-explanatory from what we saw last year. I mean, of course, Alex Gannett getting the victory and shocking everyone. I mean, we even saw, I remember Ranger and Gary Clute getting together. Kevin Lacroix had a mechanical failure, what was it, halfway through the race or something like that. Was completely unexpected. So did that ruin his championship?
Who are we talking about again? Which one? Kevin Lacroix. Because we didn't talk about this when it happened, but there's a large field of cars. He had a mechanical failure, and now all of a sudden you lose points.
Okay, that does make sense, yes.
So if trade, like, I don't want this to happen, but you cannot have a bad race, especially here.
Like, I'm looking at last year's standings. Lacroix finished 27 behind Cameron. He had a better result at GP3R. Not saying that one race could have helped him fully.
No,
maybe, but it definitely could have helped in the momentum at the time.
This is where a championship like this, remember, we're also expanding. We're not 13, we're not 12 races, we're 14 races this year.
Yeah.
You mentioned it before last week on the show that you said, Oshweekend, there's 2 races now. Yes. And I think you and I both have the same opinion that the first race is probably going to be pretty chill because you have to make it to the next race, which is the next day.
Yeah.
But that next race, we also don't know within any of these big name stars that are coming in yet. We know Ken Schrader, we know Stuart Friesen, we know likely Dave Bailey are coming in, but we don't know if there's going to be like a Kyle Larson or a Christopher Bell, like what was supposed to happen last year. If that does happen, then there's a whole other equation, which is guys that are coming in just like GP3R, who we don't see on a regular basis. I just, Saskatoon was easy to get out of trouble.
And back to Friesen's name as well. I'm curious about his mindset, considering he just missed the truck playoffs as well. I do wonder what his attitude might be like, because all of his focus like last year was, going for that truck title. But this year, knowing that, there's no chance of that now, it's just he can go all out at any other potential race that he can get into. And also he'll be running sprint car races as well. So his focus will be a lot more, right there for the Oge weekend, those days at Oge weekend. So, I mean, we did see last year, of course, he barely failed to train Lapsevich, but still, though, I do really wonder what his attitude's going to be like.
And I think, again, as we're talking about it now, he's also not back with 22 Racing this year.
No, it's a different car, different team.
Motorsports. Yeah. Now that is very interesting because we kind of know how that race played out last year. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he's not back at 22 Racing at all. There very well could be, when we don't really know. I would think it's going to be Ken Schrader that's going to be with 22 Racing, considering he's doing the APC deal and APC sponsors the 22 car. So I kind of see that being a logical move for Ken, but I kind of like the idea of him in a Glenn Stires Racing backed car. I do think that if we do get somebody in of a bigger nature, not saying that Stewart is not, but we're talking like a Cup Series driver. It's hard to say because of the playoffs. I don't really think Cup guys are going to, well, they were going to last year, so I guess we'll have to see. But for me, I think it's these next 3 races could very well determine the championship winner because of how big the fields are going to be. Now, ICAR doesn't tend to give us a lot of chaos. It's kind of
the restarts more so. It's
the restarts.
Yes. I mean, we saw last year Tagliani completely like dive bomb, like completely send it in. Yeah. It was like 3 or 4 wide almost in the first corner, but the short runs were fun. But as soon as the cars got on the long run, it was pretty much just, Kevin Lacroix turns into Max Verstappen, he's gone.
Yeah, well, that's what I don't want to see this year, honestly, because we've kind of seen it the past couple of years. Is that Kevin he owns it. He owns ICAR.
If Alex Labay had slightly more speed, that could have been a storyline. That could have been.
Yes. Could have been. And the fact is, Alex Labay is going to be in for the next, he's going to be in GP3R, ICAR, and CTMP.
Yeah, all 3 of those road courses. Yeah.
And I wouldn't have pegged him to be in for just road courses. I would have expected that maybe, and you don't know, maybe he'll do Delaware to end the season or something, but I don't think they actually have an oval car right now, and that's why he's only doing the road courses. But that car that he's getting, GM Paillet car from Paillet Racing. So it's not a bad piece at all. So if all of a sudden Alex Labbe comes into this territory for potentially a win at GP3R, now it also gets more interesting because again, if I'm Marc-Antoine Cameron, I can't get involved into the shenanigans from last year. You can't, because even though he won the championship, I don't think he's got that. He's not the points leader, right? He's got a big difference that he has to make up. And if I'm LP Dumoulin, are you going to take the risk? If you're LP Dumoulin, are you going to do whatever it takes to win GP3O, because it is one of the biggest races for your family? You're not really in the championship battle.
Well, I mean, again, what we saw
last year. That's the only reason
we saw that last year. So he'll want to get redemption, but then if JF comes into play again, it's just gonna it's like Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott at Charlotte that one year, I think it was 2021. Like he looks his rearview mirror and he sees him coming, and he's like, "Oh crap!" And then all of a sudden, something could happen all over again. So and
we don't need that
trauma. It's just
we don't need that, right? Because I think at the end of the day, they took each other out because of what was happening with Cameron, and then Alex Canet just says thank you very much, right? And then DJ, I think it was DJ, finished second in that race.
Yeah, DJ got through
completely nowhere, and I think I don't really want to see last lap drama like that again, but at the same time, I really enjoyed that finish. Like I was
LeBay.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm thinking. Like you have some of the names that, again, I don't have. These aren't full confirmations. Like this is my own list based off of what people's announcements that they've made. Other people have announced. So like Justin Arsenault, very impressive out at iCar. He was very, very good. He's gonna be part of that. JF Dumoulin, Glenn Stiers, JP Bergeron, Alex Canet. I still like him in that 3 car. Possibly Peter Kloot, Brandon Watson, Raphael Lessard is back.
Yeah.
And now I don't really expect him to challenge for the lead because he's not really a road course guy. LP Montour, DJ Kennington. Tag, I think, is somebody that we are sleeping on.
Yes, the momentum, especially from Toronto.
Yes, and then that carried over in Saskatoon as well. He did very well at Saskatoon.
Yes.
So I like that. Trayton, I want to say like 6th, 7th is a good day for him.
Like around the bottom of the top 5 or like just under there, I think is probably the most fair you're going to put it. But the ironic thing is, it would not shock me if he still managed to pull off a win just because of drama.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely true. And I mean, Trayton, for example, I don't want to see him like 25th to lower, because that's a really, really bad race. He loses.
That would have to be that would have to be a mechanical failure or a crash. It would have to be.
Thomas Nouveau, really expect that he's going to turn it on, because he was very good at Saskatoon. And actually at Edmonton,
I was shocked by how I had that hope that it would be the road courses earlier in the season where he would be able to finally show himself off.
Mm-hmm.
But then we got the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
And then out of all times for him to come out of nowhere and just boom, pop out right there, get his name out there and do well. I was not expecting. I don't think anyone was expecting the West Coast swing. No one.
He outdrove Kevin Lacroix. And Kevin was somebody I did not expect to have a weekend like that. They were bad.
Hell yeah.
If you ask Kevin, I love actually, Kevin's now doing a lot more social media videos.
Yes.
He hasn't done in his career, but now he is. And I like that. Kevin is a very, very funny guy. But it was so uncharacteristic of Don Thompson Jr. and the Napa team. I just couldn't really understand where they went wrong, because their whole Western swing really wasn't great. They really weren't up in the top 3 in the entirety. they were quick in Edmonton practice, but then they only qualified 10th. So he's in need of a rebound. He's somebody else. Obviously, Kevin is somebody, anytime we go to a road course, he'll be tough to get up there. Andrew Ranger, this is a place where if he I'm not jinxing it, I swear.
Definitely
this is a place though, if he needs a momentum switch, man, it would feel so, after all the bad luck that he's had, I would love an Andrew Ranger GP3R win.
Just stay away from Gary Clute.
Yeah, we don't need them getting into it again. No, we don't need that. Daniel Bois, they need some good luck. They've had some pretty rough luck this sophomore slump, we'll call it.
Yeah,
they were so impressive last year. Obviously, Labbé, Simone Dion Vianney is typically a middle of the pack guy. LP, Herbie Drescher, we'll see him probably towards the rear of the pack with Serge Bordeaux. Dave Corsall, somebody that we haven't seen in this series in probably like 10, 12 years. And he's coming back driving the 54 CarQuest Dodge. And I'm not sure how he'll do because it's been a long time since he's been in the series. Gary is pretty good at this racetrack. Again, like you said, as long as there's no contact between him and Andrew, we don't need that again. Wallace Stacy, Jocelyn Fecteau, again, we tend to see those guys toward the end of the pack. Donald Teage is supposed to do a road course race, being GP3R, so we'll see if that still happens. Larry Jackson, Sam Fellows performed amazing last year in the 98 car. I think it was 6th place finish he got for Jim Bray. In his own stuff this year, they should be pretty good. JF LeBerge, we typically see him, no offense, but we typically see him in the tire barriers. That's unfortunate, but that's what we normally see.
Very, very professional.
Well, I have to call it like I see it. Unfortunately, he needs to just not get into the tires because it has been a problem for him. He's got one of the best looking race cars. He's going to be in a 22 Racing prepared car again. So just don't end up in the tire barriers, please. Dexter Stacy, you know what? I think Dexter's going to have another good race. I think he did very well at Road America for MBM, got them their best result of the season in 25th place. I'm very curious to see how he does, but as long as he can just no mechanical problems really is what we need. Jacques Gannett Sr., that is Alex Gannett's grandfather, is supposed to race. Now, whether or not that still happens, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it not happening, but that was announced previously. Marc-Antoine Cameron, Daryl Timmers will be back in the 98, and then Matthew Scannell, who's always good on the road courses. A couple other potentials would be like Dumoulin Competition or Dave Jacobs or DJK having a third entry. I think we're going to be around potentially 31, 32. I feel like not all of these names, even though they had announced plans, are still going to happen. Like, for example, perfectly like a Donald Teage might decide not to get in there and potentially damage a car, or Wallace Stacy might continue to not race. GP3R is the gold standard.
Yeah, for the Pinty series,
yeah,
to me, the crown jewel, hands down.
It now, as we talked about previously, if Montreal comes in though, like I don't want them to compete against each other, because I think it's
can you
tough.
have like a local crown jewel? Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe. Because, well, I guess it will always be the crown jewel because we are the headliner.
Yeah.
Now, if we go to Montreal, we're not going to be the headliner.
Oh no.
So, but if you're in front of a crowd, like it's tough. I would say,
okay. The way I put it is, how about we just leave it out of the conversation until we actually get to that point.
Yes, if we get to that point,
keep talking about GP3R. Just keep talking about it. Stay away from Montreal for now.
Well,
Not literally schedule wise. I just mean talk wise.
We still want to go there.
Talk wise, just
obviously my picks were what they were. I had picked Gannett, and that didn't really work out. Saskatoon, I was correct with one of them. I picked Cameron to win one, but I picked Lapcevich to win one, and that worked out for me. I can't remember who you ended up picking now.
Watson and Kennington.
Yeah, how did that go?
Let's see here. 7th and 12th.
Yeah. Yeah. Not ideal. However, you potentially have 34 names to choose from for GP3R. So
the mindset I have is if I were to pick someone like Lapcevich or Cameron, I feel like the way my luck has been, they'll suddenly be bad.
Yep.
That's the way I'm thinking.
So again, as it normally works, we pick our winner, but then we also pick an underdog. I am going to go first.
Can we add in one? How about a winner, an underdog, and is it not professional to pick a disappointment?
No, we could say that somebody that might struggle.
Yeah, a struggler
that might
sure.
struggle.
Okay, I want to spice things up.
Okay, I'm gonna go out and say, that's a good wrench that you just threw in there.
This is the problem. You're gonna have like 30, maybe more than 30 cars, and yet you have to pick one guy.
You know what? I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say my struggle is gonna be Raphael Lessard. Okay. I know he's with Matthew Kingsbury, and that is a pretty strong car, but he hasn't done very well at GP3R, so I just don't know how this is going to go for him. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know if I like the combination. Yeah, I know it's somebody else's car too. It's not his car, right? He's going into Kingsbury's ride. So I'm going to pick for somebody that is going to be an underdog. I'm going to go to Thomas Nouveau.
Okay.
I really hope I don't change his luck up for him. And I'm going to go with Tag. I think Tag is going to win this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go off a little bit, which I don't normally. He won Toronto and he looked really good there. So I'm going to say Tag's going to win. And I'm going to go with Nouveau as a surprise. And I think Lessard will struggle.
Okay. Now with me, I like to be different on every single pick every time. Yeah. JF LeBear. Okay, but seriously, struggle. Yeah, now I'm running into your problem.
Yeah, you know what? It's tough because you're like, man, there's not really weakness within the field, but when you get the ideas of like, who do you think could have a problem? Really, anybody in the field could.
Well, I could completely turn on myself and say Ranger.
Don't do that. He was your championship pick. How could you do this?
I want all my picks just to be considered redacted at this point. But for a struggler, oh my.
I guess it's also about dictating what does a struggle mean. Is it something
that's why
you know what? It doesn't mean that they're going to be last. It just means that they're not going to be where they normally would be.
Or someone runs into an issue.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
Like a guy that's normally first, but they're running like 21st. Don't you dare say Trayton Lapcevich. Come on.
Or I could turn on your winner pick and say Tag.
Yes, you could.
I could turn on you there.
What about your winner pick? Start with that one.
Actually, I think I might go to the underdog one first.
Okay.
Sam Fellows.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Sure.
That's a good one. That is a
wait. No, wait. Bergeron.
JP Bergeron, that's a good one too.
Okay, it's either one of those two. I feel like if you could allow me with two of them.
Okay. If you get
Either
two, I
one.
get two. If you get two, I get two. And then I'm going to pick my second underdog is going to be Daniel Blois.
Okay, that's fair. We're good there.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just making things complex as we go.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. For a struggler, I am stuck between Lacroix again
Okay.
and Gannett. I think it's not.
You know what? Those are two guys that had mechanical problems the last couple of weeks. So that's not out of reach.
Knowing what obviously Gannett winning last year out of nowhere, he did really well. My thought this year is, what if he gets caught up in drama?
Fair point.
That's what I'm thinking of. So
there's been some between him and a couple of racers on track. So,
and yes, the mechanical issues as you run through recently, I think will also, there might be negative momentum there. So my struggle is Gannett. My underdogs will be Bergeron and Fellows. For my winner pick, I have this spreadsheet that I used before the season where I made like random picks for every race, and Cameron is there. But
he says.
Oh, now I wonder if I regret that. I'm taking up way too much time here.
Yes, you are.
You know what? I gotta have 1 week where I actually do with a guy that go with, like a top guy. I'll just say Cameron.
Okay.
I'll just deal with that.
All the pressure.
I will say this will be my proof that if I pick a top guy, like an obvious guy, and he does bad, then I'll never go back. I will never do it again.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is that we've GP3R, I think, is one of these races where literally you could pick anybody in the field to win or anybody to have bad luck.
Problem.
It's actually fascinating. It's a great problem to have.
No, that's the thing. It's a great problem. It's both it's a pro and a con. Like, it's a problem, but it's also just like the tension is incredible.
Well, and I like that this race is in like the middle of the season.
Yes.
It's the perfect middle race.
And then you get the finale.
Well, and then you go straight to 2 races at Oshweek after this. Like, that's a great
dirt oval.
Excellent. 2 races at a dirt oval. Then we're gonna go to the airport, and then we're gonna go to CTMP, and then we're gonna go to like the place that friggin' half the field crashed last year in turn 4 from the front of the field too. Delaware. And I mean, Delaware, we could easily get up to 28 cars. iCar, I think we could get up to 30 cars. CTMP, we could get up to 30 cars. So literally, if they have a bad race, this championship is far from over. Far from over.
Easily. Like, now, that's the thing. People might say, like, okay, maybe if Lapsevich has one bad race, it won't like severely do anything in points, but it's not that. It's the momentum.
Yes.
We've seen that throughout the season. We saw it with guys like, Donald Teague. I mean, Andrew Ranger has been suffering from it every single race almost. So one bad race and Lapsevich could easily start going back to like, I think it was kind of like last year and a little bit of also back in 2021 where he just has a surge where mechanical issues could hit him. He could get caught up in drama that has nothing to do with him.
That's the worry for me, is that for them, they haven't had that yet.
Yeah.
Cameron has had his issues, but he had them in practice.
Yes.
So mechanical issues have not affected. Now, they almost did at Edmonton.
Is that an omen?
I don't think so. No, I think because it was caught. And that could have been a driver error too.
And you gotta shout out those other teams too, that all of those other crew members that went running down and helping, even though they weren't on his team. That right there is a perfect look.
Yeah. So DJK, I believe, and who was it? DJK Racing, and there was another team now, I'm blanking on who else it was. But yes, they competitors that went and helped. And that's because we'd rather beat them on the track than not see them get an opportunity to even start. Now, obviously, GP3R 60 laps. Personally, I'd love 2 races there. I'm just saying, but it's going to be fun, man. It is going to be a great weekend. We're going to see an amazing event. It is always amazing. The entire city of Trois-Rivières puts on an amazing show. And I mean, the fact that we could get up to a 30 car count, which we haven't seen in a long time, is such a good indication of where the series is heading. Obviously, there's stuff that we still need to work on, but you've got the right people in there. You've got a social media team that is on the ball, killing it with updates. They are posting stuff like crazy. It's building the momentum. Obviously, the broadcast team killing it week in and week out.
Now, and the thing is, any issues that they run into have been completely out of their control.
Exactly. Absolutely out of control. And then the other thing too is when people like to, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've done this before too, and I've been caught about it, and I didn't realize my own kind of the voice that I've had. And when you get into negative energy about stuff, it is not helpful in any way. Sure, there'll be stuff that we don't agree with and stuff that we don't like, but going on and lambasting doesn't help. If people want to understand, they can reach out for sure. And I think that people underestimate how much stuff they have to do as a series. How many weeks during the year you're out and you're doing stuff, you're traveling, and it's not.
And I've been experiencing that myself now, working now at a local track and with a regional series. I know what it feels like, and especially too being like a camera operator, seeing all these fans in NASCAR just going out like NASCAR on Fox and stuff, for example, about how they do their camera work. Like, I now get it.
Yes,
I get it.
Same with
it was a great wake up call.
Side. Doing the social media for OSS, it's like wow. Wow is all I can say. It is exhausting, and they've got the right people in the series to do it. They know what they're doing. Obviously, like I said, there's work that still needs to be done. We've talked about the website for a while. We know that that's a source of contention for a lot of people, but it isn't. You don't just fix stuff like that in a day. It can't be fixed in a day. So go out there, enjoy the races, tune in to TSN Plus, TSN. Obviously, if I know Flow Racing had some stream issues for Saskatoon, but that happens. GP3R, we shouldn't have that problem. GP3R, they put Dominic Fougere and his team put so much effort into it, and it's always such a great show. And man, I love this race so much. I love when they barrel down into Jesus, what do you call it? I know the name and I can't remember it now. It's like the Princess Gate in Toronto where they go through the archway.
Yeah.
I love it. It is probably my favorite start to a racetrack. Other than say maybe Mount Panorama, because I love Mount Panorama for the V8 supercars. But absolutely love this track. Love Dominic Fougere and his entire team. They do an amazing job. The Pinty Series team, they deserve their accolades for all they're doing on their, like I said, the social media side, the broadcast side. Obviously, they're working on bringing new partners in. And you know what? We're excited because we're race fans. We are fans first. And the NASCAR Pinty Series season is in its full glory. Again, like I said, I think the amount of storylines is the biggest thing when we head into this. But Riggsy, obviously, we want to give you a chance to shout out your YouTube channel, shout out your racing series that you're a part of, so people can follow along.
Yeah, Regan McCauley on Facebook. Riggs are on Twitter, YouTube, and or I guess you could say X now.
Yeah.
YouTube and TikTok. You can find me in the Stickers and Scuffs podcast Facebook group as a Atlantic Canada representative. Of course, was
Our Atlantic correspondent.
Yeah.
Out at Oyster Bed this past weekend.
Indeed. I've got to talk to Gary Elliott and get some videos and pictures of him. Obviously, not the best finish for him. It was only like 6 laps in, getting involved in a wreck there for the only stop for the East Coast Air National Pro Stock Tour. But I don't know for sure if he'll be on the entry list for the Super Late Model Series this upcoming Saturday, but we would absolutely love to have a guy like him. His number 36 Quaker State Canada's Ironman car is absolutely beautiful in person. Yes. But yes, the Universal Truck and Trailer 150 is this Saturday night at 6 p.m. We will have a full race replay, race rewind, and also a new podcast episode recapping all the action and the excitement that we produce over at Oyster Bed Speedway. After the Checkers is what it's called. You can find it on multiple podcast platforms. I've also done cross-posting over to my channel. The episode is on there as well. It's round 4 of 6 for the inaugural Super Late Model Series season, and there's no doubt it's going to be a barn burner of a show, and it's our last race too at the track. It's a final big Super Late Model race of the year. So anyone over there that missed round 1, you can't miss round 2.
I mean, what a sell right there. And then we're looking forward to Sunday. We're going to see.
Yes, if the weather cooperates, I will be able to watch it.
Yes. That's what you've been waiting for, man. You need that weather to cooperate.
Yes.
We want to make sure that the weather is great as well on Sunday for GP3R. But Riggsy, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Well, I mean, I can't thank Riggsy enough. He comes in and helps out and all the way from PEI. And that's how big the fan base is from all over. And actually what we've seen in the Pinty's group actually recently is a lot of Americans actually coming in and being a part of the series and have got a lot of interest in it. Rick, thank you for that. I am feeling we're getting there slowly but surely. Rick McCall, thank you for your kind words. It is what a season so far, and we're not even close to finished yet. We've still got a lot of amazing stuff to see this year, and it sucks I haven't been to as many races as I was hoping. Unfortunately, too ill to be in Toronto and for the Pinty's race there, and we're not going out to Quebec this year for GP3R. Hopefully be able to go to CTMP and in Delaware. We'll have to see, but it's I've been able to get back and see a lot more of the broadcasts and really enjoy getting to experience the racing live and not when you're there and you're kind of doing stuff for the Facebook group and doing stuff for your podcast. It is a little bit different because it takes you out of being a fan of just enjoying the racing, and so I don't have that as much this year. I do want to get back out there though and catch a couple more races. Obviously I love this series and the people in it and the people that put it on. They, like I said in a conversation with Regan is it is hard. It is hard to put out a product a week in and week out when it's not your full-time job, and you have to remember is this is seasonal for a lot of the Pinty's guys and gals. It is not a gig that they have to do all year round, so they've got to do this on top of other responsibilities. And there's a great group of people, and I know that they're spearheading a lot of stuff, and I know that there was a lot of plans that Tony Spiteri had when he took over as the head of NASCAR Canada. I encourage those within NASCAR to give us more to show. And what I mean by that is I think that our series has a lot more opportunities within our own country, and I really want to see more people I want to see more appreciation for it, because I think at the end of the day, we have a really, really hard task here, and that's building a series within Canada that has to compete, and not only that, but it has to defeat and take people away from other sports during the time where a lot of people aren't watching hockey because it's not on, but then baseball comes on, football comes on, weekly racing's happening, and this series is it's supposed to be the series of Canada, and I think that we can definitely showcase more. Obviously, with an event like GP3R, it does showcase that. It showcases that these are the best of, and I mean, if you go there, and I'm getting a perfect example. If you go there, you can see there's literally posters in the main street of like hero posters of the drivers that are going to be participating. It was scrolling along as you were walking down Main Street. I was blown away because I have never seen that much love and appreciation for this series before. I would love to see more of it at some of the other places that we go to. Obviously, we've seen Newfoundland really embrace it. Out west really embraces it. Unfortunately, it kind of gets lost within Ontario. I think that's the real struggle, is the real lack of support within Ontario. Now, I'm not saying that there's no support. That's not at all what I'm saying. I think that there is definitely a lot more that would be appreciative. And Rick brings up a great point. And it makes me furious is when I see stuff like this. And Rick McCall asks, can you explain to me why TD Bank of Canada sponsors Corey in NASCAR in the United States, Corey LaJoie in the U.S.? Now, my understanding, Rick, is that's actually the U.S. brand, like the U.S. part of TD that is sponsoring him. However, you're definitely correct in that it is the Bank of Canada, TD Canada Trust. I would love to know why they're not on a Pinty's car, because the opportunity to showcase a bank here is huge, and that type of corporate investment would be huge for this series. I would love to see TD Canada Trust on a 20 car or a 17, 47, whatever it is. Have them sponsor a race, the TD Grand Prix of Toronto, something along those lines. Absolutely agree with you on that. It is a hard sell, a very hard sell. It's the same thing, Rick, when you see McLaren Grills out of Manitoba sponsoring Kyle Busch. It's I think a lot of people don't know about the series still. They don't know much about how they could participate in this series. We're getting there. We are going to continue this fight. We are going to continue to try and bring eyes to the series, because these guys and gals that put this series on, that participate in it, the people that invest their time and money, really deserve it. Could there be too many stock car series in Ontario? It's hard to say, Rick, because it's not a matter of whether there's too many. It's a matter of the model doesn't seem to be there, because it's not an issue that's just Pinty's related. It's an issue amongst most Canadian motorsports. It is not easy to find a partner. Partnerships are really hard to find. And I think the fact that we've gotten a new partner in Tiffany Gate this year is very, very big. It's very, very big. In terms of race event partnerships, that's hard to find. It's hard to find race week to week partnerships. What a lot of the model, I think, needs to be is week to week, like it is in the United States. That's what we've seen for the Cup Series. Is that's what it's turned into. There's Cub Cadet Canada, I believe, partnered with. They were doing a Ty Gibbs draw for Watkins Glen a couple years ago. I would love to see Cub Cadet Canada on one of our Pinty's cars. So we have options here. It's about finding the right way to get to those partners and making sure the investment is worth it. Obviously, with the live broadcasts, that helps. The live streaming, the more social sharing that happens, the more beneficial it is for those partners. We see the NASCAR Pinty Series Instagram account sharing the drivers' posts. That type of stuff is great. However, we need fans to do that as well. Sharing, getting the views, getting opportunities for people to win stuff, get opportunity to win tickets, win prizes, merchandise. This is all very important things when it comes to continuing. But at the same time that I say this, APC needs this. Superstocks need this. OSS needs this. Can-Am Midgets need this. OSCAR needs this. So you have all these guys that are all trying to follow and find that magical partner. It's not easy to do. Money is like you said, Rick, it is. Money is limited and it's very difficult. Now, I do really think that the way that you got to approach it is the Tony Spiteri method, where he said you've got to get approaching partnerships in the summertime during your race season. Hardest possible thing to do because you're busy, you're racing. A lot of people the teams don't have a person designated to do this. So what I ask fans out there to do is, if you haven't become involved, volunteer. Ask a team, because there's a lot of teams out there that could use help. A lot of racetracks that could use help. The series, if the series has positions available, the tracks especially, I think the tracks especially have volunteer positions, but race teams definitely can use a lot of help. Even if it's something as simple as, hey, contact a company and say, hey, would you guys ever want to be on a race car? I know some people that have one. They're looking for a good partner. You never know how it'll go. I tried that 2 years ago, I guess, and it worked out. And we've got a driver that has a partner on her car, and it just came from a simple question. They liked what they saw, and that's how quickly it can be. Episode 53 here of the NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour here. Linda Jones was fantastic, Rick. Loved her. She was excellent. But again, not everybody can do it, right? It's a tough thing. Teams don't have a lot of the revenue for PR and marketing people, and it is tough. You define those partnerships like what LP Dumoulin, what Tagliani put together, what DJ puts together. It is not easy to have a partnership that's that long. Trayton Lapsovich, we're seeing it. Ultimately, he's the guy that should be having tons of partnerships line up with him based on his... Same with Marc-Antoine Camirand, based off of how successful they are. So it isn't an easy thing. Budgets are what they are. And unfortunately, advertising is not the easiest thing. You can't just slap a sticker on a car and expect a company that's going to say, oh, that's awesome. I'm going to fork over this much money because my logo is on your car. Now, I do think it's a little bit different compared to, say, other sports where you can invest a whole bunch of money and you're not on the uniform. You'll be on the boards or something, but it might be you might be sponsoring a team, partnering with them, and you don't get anything out of it. Racing kind of needs to go that way too. Give big props to a lot of these teams that are able to get partnerships. It's not easy to do. Episode 53 is in the books here on GeForce TV. Make sure you tune in for Race Rivals Race Chat with Adam Ross and Clinton Jeffrey. Of course, always make sure you're tuning in each and every week, racing at Ohsweken Speedway. And of course, APC Series also featured live here on GeForce TV. This has been your NASCAR Pinty Series Power Hour. I'm Kim K. Thank you to Regan McCauley for once again coming on the show. Thank you for all tuning in. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Definitely getting back nice behind the wheel of this podcast right now. And time to go do another one. So thank you, everybody. Have yourself a great night, and we will talk to you all real soon.